Hey mathematicians, let's do your homework. Okay, so there are only 4 problems here. Number 2, I'm going to skip over. Number 1 and number 3 are pretty similar, so I'm going to model the harder one, and then you can do number 3 on your own. Okay, so these are not actually what we're working on right now. These are starting to review because we need to start thinking about the STAR test is coming up, and we need to make sure that we remember all the lessons that we've learned this year, not just the ones we're currently working on. So this first one is a fraction to decimal problem. So 12 out of 120 students at school were wearing Idea Spirit shirts on Friday. This means that 12 were wearing shirts out of 120 total students. I want a decimal that's going to represent the fraction of students who were not wearing Idea shirts. So you have 2 choices. You can find the decimal of this 12 out of 120, and then find its partner that would add up to all 100%, or you can find the number of kids who are not wearing Idea shirts first, and then make that into a fraction and change that into a decimal. I'm going to do this first method. I'm going to use my 12 and my 120. I'm going to make that into a decimal. Remember that when you have fractions, you can look for scale factors to try and make them fractions out of 100, or you can just divide them. Dividing will always work. It'll always give you a decimal. Numerator always goes in. I don't care which number is bigger. I don't care which number is smaller. The numerator, the number on top, goes inside, and the denominator goes outside. So if you have 12, you cannot make a group of 120. You can't make it with 1. You can't make it with 12. I'm going to add a decimal point here and raise it to the roof. And behind my decimal point, I can add a 0. So now this looks like 120. I can make one group of 120 with 120. So that is a decimal that is 1/10 of the whole student population is wearing an Idea shirt. Now the whole population, a whole in decimal form would look like one whole, which means that I need to take that 1/10 and say, okay, take those kids out. Who's left over who's not wearing an Idea shirt? When you subtract that, you should get 9/10. 90%, 9 out of 10, 90 out of every 100 kids are wearing non-Idea school shirts. So that is your final answer. In this problem, we're looking for the fraction equivalent to this decimal number. In number 3, you're finding the decimal, but I just want the decimal for this fraction. You don't need to do any, there's no not. If you see in number 1, this is what caused us to do this subtraction problem. Since there's not that not word, all you have to do is this setup for number 3, and that would have been your final answer because I'm asking what is that decimal. No need to do any extra beyond finding that decimal. This number 4 also includes a not. So if this girl spends $2 out of the $10 she has, I don't actually care about $2. I want to know the fraction for how much she didn't spend. So if she has $10 and she spent $2, she did not spend $8. So you're using 8 and 10 to make a fraction. I don't see 8/10 anywhere here, so you're going to simplify that fraction to find out which of these options is equivalent to it. And that's it. We're done with your homework.